All right, Steve, you ready?
I am.
All right, we're gonna trim us a brisket today.
Outstanding.
All right, Steve's wife picked him out a good brisket. He got lucky because Steve don't know nothing about it, but there's a fat layer down in here. You need to bend it. It bends pretty good. That means that fat's not down in there. Good job, Steve, on picking that.
All right.
Man, you're awesome. All right, so we're gonna open her up down here in the sink. If I make any mistakes, Steve, just make sure I do it right. You can check?
I will.
Steve's gonna CDI this for us and make sure that I do everything correctly. All right, so I just wanna rinse it off just a little bit. This is Steve's kitchen. We'll show you the view out there here in a little bit. So I just wanna rinse it out. You got some paper towels?
I do.
All right. Because we wanna dry her off and get her nice and dry. That's the first time I'll say that. That's the last time I'll say it. But we want to go in dry on this brisket. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Go in dry.
Now, is the idea to get all the fat off, or just as much as you can? Or?
Just as much, not even as much as you can. You get all that fat off, then your brisket's gonna come out pretty dry. Yeah. So you want to leave a nice layer on there. And people that like them, they like them lean cuts of meat. They're not gonna appreciate brisket until they've eaten it.
We don't like that. I'm looking for lean. I'm looking for flavor.
Yeah, we want all the flavor we can get. So there she is. We'll dry it off a little bit more up here. But what we're gonna do today is we're gonna trim this bad boy up. And I put a video on my YouTube. You guys can find it, but this will be another one. I'm trimming these. Now, don't ask me for the terminology, but I do know that this is a full packer. The point's down here and the flat's down here. What I do know is how to trim them, at least for what I do. So I start with this right here.
Yeah.
This fat on this side is good. It's soft. This side on this is very hard, and it's not going to render under even a slow cook. So I start by cutting there. Right there. Now you can see that fat in there. And we're just gonna cut it out, and that's gonna give us a place to start on our trim. Now, Safety Steve.
Yes, sir.
In the kitchen, one of the most dangerous things in the kitchen when you're trimming you up your meat is to have a dull knife.
I agree.
Steve is my safety man, making sure I do everything safe. All right. So, look here. This section right here separates your point and your flat. Now, I'm not going to trim it all the way, but there's a big fat cap underneath there, and we're going to trim that out because it's very hard fat. It's not going to render on a slow cook.
Render.
Nope. It's basically useless. So we're just going to get rid of it. Got to get in there nice and deep like. You seen that movie, Steve?
Which one?
I know you've seen it. What is that? A freaking dodgeball. At the car wash, that old man sitting there with that dog.
I'm trying to remember.
At the car wash.
I don't remember that part, but I remember the movie.
That boy's down there washing them rims. And all the girls across the street freaking at the car wash, but no one showed up to their car wash. And he said, "Man, we only had one customer. He's been here 3 times." And that boy's down there scrubbing them rims and them tights. Yeah. And that fat guy's standing there rubbing his belly with that dog. "That's right, boy. Get in there nice and deep like." That's what we're going to do on this brisket. We're going to get in there nice and deep like. Yeah, boy. That's what we're doing. So,
You're
obviously,
just following that vein.
yeah. Watch you when we right there, and you can tell looking at your brisket. The reason I personally don't like to cook them together, I see a lot of videos people cook them together, and that's fine. It turns out fine. But whenever you go to trim it, when you cut brisket, you want to go against the grain.
Right.
You don't want. See how these lines run right here?
Yeah.
They're running. You want to cut against the grain. Well, what you'll find is that your point lines run different than your flat lines. So when you go to trim it, part of good brisket is having it trimmed correctly. It's real hard for me to trim it as many as I smoke. So now we're just gonna go right through here. There's our line.
Yeah.
That tells us where we want to cut. Now I've taken these to butcher before, and I said, hey, can you trim this up for me? And I'll never do it again, because all they did was just cut right here. They said, here you go, boy, it's trimmed. Man, I could have done that. You charged me freaking $1 more a pound for that crap? I'll tell you what. I'm like, so I just watched me some YouTube videos. I'll learn how to get in there nice and deep like myself. Everything, look at that. See how it's kind of peeling back there?
Yeah.
And you got a sharp knife, just kind of cut it there. Now it's gonna come over here, and look at them lines, the way they're running. It's just real easy. And this piece here,
Which piece is that? That's called the...
that's the point. And there's a lot of fat in the point that you want to leave in there.
Of course.
But there's a lot of fat that you want to trim too. So now I got them separated. There's my point. There's my flat.
Wow.
So when you go to the store and they say that they have the brisket flat, that's only that piece.
That's that piece. The juice. It's juicier though, right?
Well, no, they always sell the flats. They got a bunch of them in the grocery store. They sell them like this. Well, I don't know what they do with that, but that's some good stuff there.
Right.
You don't want to throw it away. So that's the point. Yeah.
Okay.
That's good. That's a money meat right there if you do it right now. This is soft fat, but it's too much.
Okay.
Even for a Texan like myself, I don't want all that on there. All right. So, and you say you paid $3 a pound.
Right.
By the time we get done trimming this,
It's gonna be $4.
$4 or $5 a pound. But that's all right because it's gonna be good.
And you got the extra part of the meat.
Yeah. Now I won't waste it. We'll smoke it. We'll cook it. Now this piece right here, we're gonna put, whenever you put it in your smoker, you can either put it back together, put this piece underneath that piece, or you can smoke it 2 different spots. But this, every cooker that I've ever used, I hear people saying, my smoker don't have a cold spot. My smoker don't have hot spots. Everyone that I've used has had it. So I ain't freaking buying that. They all got it. So what I do is, I'll put this piece right here
Where it's
furthest away from the fire.
From the fire. Okay.
That way they finish up. Now,
Is that because it's a smaller piece, or
Yeah.
it's less dense, or it's gonna cook faster?
it's gonna cook faster because it's smaller. But the good thing about this, let's say you got a party, but you want to eat too. The party's gonna start at 6 p.m. Now, if you just put this near the heat, put this in a cooler spot, this would be good for lunchtime. And you can eat while you're smoking that. So it just gives you some options. For me, I like them to finish up at the same time. That way I can go down the smoker, check my temps, make sure my temps are good. Because the temps are the same on both. I want to take them to about 197 internal temperature, pull them, wrap them, and let them get up to about, whenever I let them set for about an hour, they'll get up to about 203 degrees.
So when you wrap them, they're going back in?
No.
No, they're just staying out, and they're just gonna keep, the heat's just gonna keep rising.
There's many different ways to do it. There's a lot of people that get them through the stall, so they wrap them at 160 degrees.
Right.
And when I've been in a pinch, I've done that myself, and it comes out pretty good. No one's ever complained. So just depending on how much time you got. So we got it trimmed, but we got a lot of fat left in there, and it's not that hard fat. It's that good stuff. All right, so your point's good. All right. Now, this one here is gonna have some stuff we need to get trimmed up.
Wow.
It's way too much. It's way too thick. It's not gonna be good. Now, we don't want to trim this down to the meat. Occasionally, I'll slip up and get it down too far. We want to leave a lot of this on, but you can see right here, it is hard. I want that out.
That whole line in there.
This piece, yeah, right along here, and you can look at it, man. Look at that. See the difference?
That's a total different. texture. It's not pliable.
That is not.
And that's one of the reasons you bend it.
Yeah.
To see where that's at, how much of it is.
Yeah, the least of this that's in there,
Better.
Well, you just get more money per pound. You're not eating that.
You're cutting it out, or you're not eating it even.
Yeah.
It gets cooked.
There's no. You're not going to eat that. Like I said, there's many ways to skin a cat, but this is how I do it. And whenever I'm not making a video, I gotten pretty quick at this stuff, and I ain't had too many complaints about my brisket.
No. No.
I served a bunch of it today. They had a flatline. I should have known they had a flatline party. They said, Flatline's having a party. We want some barbecue. I said, all right, cool. I drove up, man. You should have seen the Freedom outfits they had on. And then you think, who's that guy? Ron Burgundy, plays Ron Burgundy, and he's standing there in his Freedom underwear. It was kind of like
Will
that.
Ferrell.
Yeah, Will Ferrell. It was kind of like that, man. It was awesome. And the thing is, I should have known because it was flatline. It don't matter what platform, B22, H46, H1, flatline is flatline. They are crazy. That's why we get along so good. All right, so I just cut that piece out there. And I mean, you can trim more, but honestly, the juice ain't worth the squeeze. Right? Because I eat that. That's good. If I should go to trimming too much, honestly, I'll freaking trim a lot of it off. I don't want it. I want to eat that. So I feel, all right, now this is a little thick, right?
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
some of us like thick things, but not on my meat. That's a little bit too thick, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I like them big, but not that big. We got to get some of that off.
That's a sharp knife.
Yeah, that's a good one. Got this from Rising Gill Knives? Rizzling Gill Knives at the Cadena Exchange. You got a little shop out there, usually by the Starbucks. He does a good job. I got about, how many knives I got? 5 or 6 from him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it. It needs to come on. That's right, boy. What's that dog barking at?
What?
He wants some of this meat. But Steve knows in the Pacific, we're known for our meat here at Smokin Oki Barbecue, ain't we, Steve?
Amen to that.
Yeah. We are known for our meat. So we got our filmographer over there. Is that what you call them, filmographers? I don't know. Who knows what that is? We're Marines. We're not freaking scholars. We got the filmographer over there, the Smokin Oki. She helps us out quite a bit. She always lets me know when I'm doing it wrong. Not trimming the meat, of course, because she don't like to trim it. She knows that if she gets on me too much, she'll be trimming it. And I'll be sipping my coffee. All right. So as you can see, Steve, we just kind of feeling that meat.
Just going down.
Yeah, I want to see where that hard fat's at. All right. We got most of it. We have got most of it. We just about got her done.
So you're going to be able to take that all the way down to the meat as much as you can? Is that what? That fat, to take it down just to the layer of meat as much as you can?
Well, I want to leave, that's about what I want to leave on there. I mean, that's a good layer of fat. Probably,
how thick is that?
Probably a 1/4 inch, I think, or something like that. Pretty 1/4, maybe somewhere between 1/4 of an inch. But you definitely want to go down, and I could show you, especially when we get into trimming right here. I mean, I could take all that out and still leave some fat on there, but I just think it's too thin. I like to leave it on there.
Now I can see the way the grain goes.
Yeah.
On the meat. Is there a trick to knowing so when you pull it out, it's not going to look the same?
Well,
is there a way to put an index mark on it, or you just got to remember how you put it in?
Yeah. Well, since I've done so many, I usually cut these down the middle. And then I'm just in such a habit, I just turn and slice. And you can tell you can tell by the first slice
which way the grain.
which way the grains are running. And if you see the grains running long ways instead of vertically, just turn your meat and continue slicing. I mean, and once you're done, like 2, 3 of these, then you pretty much got it down. So what I'm gonna do with this, a lot of people use a lot of different stuff, but I'm from the South and we like our mustard, right? There's nothing special. Now, why do you think I put mustard on there?
Keeping the moisture. Let everything else stick to it.
Yep, I want to let them spices stick to it. So whenever you're putting the spices on it, I'll show you when I get into it. The spices will fall off, especially during the cook. That's all right. Them dog, he likes them. All right, so we can take this and rub it down. Rub them 2 meats. Look at that. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Yeah, we like that, don't we? Don't we, dogsies? Says, yeah, you're doing a good job. So we rub it down, and then the way I do it is, and there's a lot of people out there, they're like fat side down, fat side up, fat side down.
Yeah.
All right. I do fatty side up. This is what I do.
The whole time you flip it?
Nope. Huh? What is this?
Fat side up?
Yeah. What? All right. So we got to rub down. So since I do fatty side up, when I start seasoning, I'm gonna do fatty side down,
Got it.
and then
Makes
flip it and go from there. All right. So let me wash my hands here.
Are we done trimming?
Yeah. Yeah, that's trimmed. That wasn't too hard.
Yeah, we did take off a lot of meat. This is only part of it.
Yeah. Some of it there in the sink. So I like to keep my hands clean all the time, especially if I'm going to be handling. After I get done trimming, I'm going to clean my hands. I go through a lot of paper towels. I could probably save a lot of money not doing that. But the first time a restaurant or a catering business gets somebody sick, it's over.
Yes.
Especially in a small location like this.
Yeah.
All right, so seasoning a brisket. There's 100 different recipes online. There's a lot of people that say do it this way, do it that way. You can keep it simple with salt, pepper. I had you pick up some barbecue seasoning so we can coat it on there real good. But honestly, salt and pepper do too. Kosher salt and your fresh cracked pepper. And that'll get a brisket real tasty. The reason I had you pick up the barbecue seasoning, number one, that's about all we have here in Okinawa, Japan. You can make your own by buying ingredients. It's going to be very strong whenever you make your own. So you keep in mind, if you get into it and you really start making your own seasonings and stuff like that, if you're used to using a lot, you might want to use a little bit less, because it's going to be a lot stronger when you make fresh seasoning. This fresh cracked peppercorn is awesome.
Here's salt.
You got some salt.
Kosher salt. It's kosher salt.
Oh, that's good.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah. So is this yeah, of course. All right. So you don't want to put a lot of salt, but I want to put a little bit of salt on there. But slow cook, brisket's going to, if you use a lot of the rubs that I buy, like when I go to Buc-ee's in Texas or something like that, I look for a low sodium.
Okay. Low salt.
Yeah.
Nobody eats
Low salt. And it's not because I don't like salt, but what I found is, and it's just my preference, whenever you season with one of them rubs, it's got like 15% or 20% sodium. It's great for steaks. I mean, steaks is great with salt and pepper, you know. But brisket, slow cooked items, pork shoulder, it's too much.
Too salty, it'll dry out the meat.
It's too salty.
Just too salty. You're making jerky.
Yeah, it's too salty. I do not like it. All right, so we can get a little kosher salt on there. All right, now I'm gonna show you what I do with that barbecue seasoning, and it makes a really good bark on your brisket. Just like you like whenever you order them from Smokin Oki. You like that bark on there.
We do.
So you want liberal amounts of this. And I've been asked about 1,000 times, Jeff, how much seasoning? This is low sodium, hardly any sodium in there. How much do you put on there? And I put as much as that brisket will hold, is how much I put on there. I mean, I cake it on there.
And the mustard helps. That helps.
Yeah, it helps hold it.
Do you press it in?
Yeah, you can. I don't need to. When I flip it over, it's going to press in, and that mustard's going to, as it's moist, and it's going to get, it's going to hold it on there nice.
Takes about 2 bottles, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that is 2 bottles, and you're going through it. That's only one side.
Yeah.
Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, that smoke gets in there on your smoker. The seasoning holds that aromatic flavors of your smoke, and then you've got some good peppercorn and some good fresh peppercorn and kosher salt. This thing is going to be amazing. All right, so that's that one. Let's get a little more amount on our point on our brisket here. How them dogs doing out there? They're gonna be going crazy tonight. Now we can let this sit overnight depending on what time. I don't remember the weight, but it's probably gonna take you about 10 hours to get her done. And like I said, if you want to eat, you can finish that smaller one if you want to eat lunch, and then have this ready for y'all tomorrow night or however you want to do
I'm
it.
gonna do them both tomorrow, but you'll have to tell me how to do it. I'll probably do them both at the same time, and if it's done early, checking with the thermometer, and then I can, like you said, have a lunch, I guess.
Yep. It's about 100 I'll wash my hands again. It's about 197 is what we're looking for. That's what we want.
And then when you take it off and you wrap it, it's gonna rise.
And if it rises about another 5 or 10 degrees, you wrap it and set it inside a clean cooler with a towel on the bottom, wrap it up top with a towel, and let it sit for about an hour, and it's still cooking and getting nice and tender. And some people are like, hey, pull it at 180. It's a little bit tougher. Some people like it that way. I always say there's no wrong way to do it unless you didn't like it, and then you did it wrong. You know, people get, I mean, they get on the barbecue pages now, they get salty. No, you need to be cooking it to 203 degrees. Well, I can tell you from experience, if you go to 203 and you go to slice it, it's going to start falling apart on you. And you can get some good slices from it, especially down the middle of it. But the edges, they're going to crumble. And you can crumble it up and put it in your baked beans if you want. So there's nothing wrong with going to 203. It's all preference.
197.
I go to 197.
How did you come up with 197, not 195?
195 is a little too tough for what I'm looking for.
I know this is a family video, but I'm
195, anything less than 197 for me, it's just 197 is a perfect temperature to where it is probe tender almost every time. And what I mean by probe tender is if you take a meat probe and stick it in, it's like a hot knife through butter. It's got the resistance I want at 197, 198 degrees. It's just about perfect. And also at 197, like I told you, if you go to 202, 203, when I go to slicing it, there are a lot of waste on them crumbs and stuff. And when you got a business, you're trying to make money out of every morsel you can.
There's your portion control just shot all to hell.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, a lot goes into that. Sure, 202 is great. I don't want to say nothing about it. I eat some great brisket that I overcooked at 202. It's really good. But, yeah, I know. But, good brisket up there. But for me, having a business, I try to get the most out I can, and 197 allows me to do that.
Absolutely gorgeous.
So you're going to season this bad boy down. Look at that, almost all the way down.
That's 2 bottles.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Now, if you got some really stout seasoning, it's almost good to have some seasoning that's not stout. If I made my own rub and I used all of that on there, it's gonna be, I made some barbecue sauce one time with some homemade seasoning, And what I normally put in my barbecue sauce is about a bottle. About 16, no, not even 16 ounces. I forget how many ounces. I don't remember. But 1 bottle of sauce. I took the same measurement, and I measure everything in grams, to when I was making my barbecue sauce with some homemade stuff, and it was too stout. I almost had to make 2 batches of sauce just to get it to where it was edible.
Powerful.
Yeah, it was just really overpowering. Nothing wrong with making your own seasonings. I'm just saying be careful when you start out buying your seasonings and then you get into it so much and you're making your own. Next thing you know, it's too stout. So I'm gonna get that on there. And look at that, we went through those bottles. I mean, it's just about done there.
Wow.
Now let's get a little kosher salt. Don't forget that. My cameraman's like, Jeff, get that kosher salt on there. I know it. I know it, man. It don't really matter the order. Not to me. I mean, I don't notice any difference. But now, when we use kosher salt, if you used salt just what's in the cabinet, it's going to be way too salty. This kosher salt is good. Takes it a while to break down. Over a long cook, it's perfect.
Okay.
All right, so there's definitely a difference. People's like, can I just use the salt that's in there in the kitchen? And you don't want to do that. It's going to be nasty. It's going to be, you're going to throw it out.
Too salty.
I'm not even sure the dogs would eat it. It's pretty nasty.
No liquid smoke?
No liquid smoke, man. That stuff does have a use, but not on my damn brisket. All right. Now I'm just gonna coat this on there. The rest of it, it's almost gone. We're gonna put that in. We're gonna put that back in your cupboard. And what's your wife gonna say? Why in the hell did you do that? Because that's what mine would say. I don't know why you just didn't throw it out. Well, we'll just use it then. Hey, don't be. When the wife's not here, then the dog's talking trash. What the hell, man? You got a hard life, Steve.
I do.
All right.
It's rough here on Okinawa.
So that's seasoning the brisket. We seasoned it. We trimmed it. If you got any questions, post them down there in the comments. Hopefully y'all check out my YouTube channel. I'm not doing anything cool on them just yet, but the next video we're gonna see if we can get Steve to run around in a onesie with some bunny ears. So y'all might like to see that.
There'll be a little bit more bourbon involved for that.
I think Tomo and Kim would like it.
Oh yeah, I might.
Yeah, that'd be good. I bet they'd watch it. They'd probably get a video a like. Anyways, it's too dark to get y'all a view, so next time we come over to Scuba Steve's place, we'll get a nice view of the outside. He's got a fabulous place right here in Okinawa, Japan. There's 4 cases of coronavirus in Japan. We are good, man. The markets are open and we have plenty of toilet paper and paper towels. So everything is good to go right here in Okinawa, Japan. Steve, what do you think?
Absolutely.
And how's the bourbon?
Thank you. Oh, bourbon's great. Bourbon is fantastic.
All right. Hey, hit that like button, give me some subs, share the video, and post in the comments for questions.